Inspired by a very personal story, if I can tell a personal story.
Absolutely.
I was in training in 2004 to become a somatic coach. And on the fifth day of this 5-day workshop, my brother gave me a call. And he said our mother was in the hospital. And she had gone through a surgery about 2 weeks prior. But she was in some kind of critical condition. And I was way up in Petaluma. And so my brother had told me that the doctors didn't know what to do. And they asked, and I insisted on I come down. And so for about 2 hours I drove in my car, and I had asked myself, why was I in this somatic coaching course? Was it predestined that I was there to really learn the techniques to maybe even save my mother's life? So as I drove to the hospital, I got to the hospital room, and it was all chaotic. There was a doctor there arguing with my father about the condition of my mother. He said the tests had all been done and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. She should be fine, but she wasn't. My father was, of course, very angry. So at that moment, I decided to go in and see my mother. And as I walked in, she was at this place where her life energy was really depleting her body. If you can imagine seeing your mother lying there, a very hollow, vacant look. So as I sat next to her, I used some of my techniques that I just learned about how to connect to a human soul, a human body. It was my mother, so I had to stay centered in this process. A lot of emotions were going on, but staying present with her. And I looked for 3 key areas that I had learned about. One was, what was her language all about? What was she talking like? Second, what was she focused on? And third, what was going on in her body? Like, where was the energy force? And so after making that assessment, it turned out that her language was all about the pain that was in her body was taking her towards death. The focus was, what if I die? It was more on dying than on living. And the last thing, her body had, as I said, had vacated the life force, the energy that's available. As a somatic coach, our bodies we're trained to know that our bodies can self-generate, self-heal, and self-educate. And so I started to do some of the techniques that I learned on her. And within an hour, we were able to shift her story, shift her focus, and shift the life force in her body in a way that she restored herself. And it was amazing to see the doctors and the nurse come back into the room and say, oh my God, what happened? And the reason I tell this story it's very inspirational to me, as you can tell, but at the same time, it's kind of what I do for people, and it's what's available to everybody. It's an ability to create a new story in your life, to really shift who you are. It's an ability to focus on the things that are important to you, not the things that aren't. And finally, to bring that life force that we all have in our bodies and bring that forth in a way that can empower us to those visions and those exciting things that are out there.